And if you are really leaning on their reactions as confirmation that you're on the right path, or as confirmation that you're doing well, then my friend, I hate to break it to you, you guys, but you are kind of setting yourself up for, I don't want to say failure, but welcome to my channel. If you're new, go ahead, hit the subscribe button as well as the bell. So anytime any new content is uploaded, you're already going to be a member of the community. You're going to know exactly when any new content drops, you guys. So definitely do all those things. But before we get started, you guys, this is a video that I have done before, but I don't think it was really heard the way that it needed to be heard. But I really, again, like a lot of my content is really just to encourage you guys just to keep going, that you are on this level up, this glow up, this manifestation journey, you guys. And I just don't want you guys to hit one of those stumbling blocks, right, along the way and just not continue, because it happens, right? I think of, and I put this in a previous video, but I think of us all as being kind of like these soldiers, right, you guys, in this battlefield. And sometimes we get hit and some of us, right, just don't want to get back up, or just don't get back up and continue on. And then there are some that after the dust has settled, they're still standing. Okay. And I want you guys to be one of those that are still standing. But one of those stumbling blocks can be if we are looking for external validation for our goalpost, right? Let's just say we have this ultimate goal, right? We have this ultimate goal, whatever that goal, and it's going to look very different for many different people, right? For one person, it may be, attaining a certain job, a certain career, right? Maybe they finally have entered into a certain career field that they've always wanted to, or suddenly now they're making the money they've always wanted to, or finally, taken off in a creative project that they've had kind of sitting on the back burner for a long time, or whatever that could be, right? You're creative, you're visual artist, whatever that could be, musician, is going to look very different for many different people. But a lot of times we have this ultimate goal. And along the path, we have these mini micro goalposts, right? That we kind of hit along the way to reaching that ultimate fulfillment, that ultimate actualization of whatever that, level up, whatever that manifestation may be. And sometimes, and this kind of hits two different topics, but just to stay on course, sometimes we look to other people for validation when we're hitting those goalposts, right? And we expect other people to be just as excited, just as enthusiastic, just as excited as we are when we hit those goalposts, right? And sometimes we don't get the expression, we don't get the reaction from other people, especially those that we consider to be close to us, or it could be loved ones, it could be friends, it could be family, co-workers, people you grew up with, people that you value and you value their opinion. And sometimes we could expect, like I say, them to be just as excited, just as enthused for us as we are for ourselves. And when we don't get that validation, for some of us, even if you say, oh no, it doesn't bother me, subconsciously, right? Psychologically, subconsciously, it kind of does, right? Like maybe you were on 10, right? About, you accomplishing whatever goal it was, right? But after getting someone's mid, reaction to what you consider to be a pretty big deal, right? Maybe instead of you feeling now a 10, maybe you kind of feel like an 8 or a 7, okay? And it kind of, in a very micro, small way, deflated you just a little bit, because it makes you kind of question yourself, well, should I be as excited about this, goal as I am? Because I just knew so-and-so would be super excited for me. Don't they see what a big deal this is? And then subconsciously you start doubting yourself that, well, maybe it isn't really that big of a deal. Maybe, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm foolish to think that I can really, ultimately reach this goal, or maybe, what I thought to be such a big deal really isn't that big of a deal at all, and that I don't want you guys to be psychologically gaslit to look to other people's reactions, which might actually be intentional. Now, sometimes other people, like I say, your goal is your goal. So whatever that goal is, that's for you. It's not for other people. Just because you see the value in it, right? And you see how it might be life-changing or that elevation or that level up. Some other people, maybe they just don't see the big picture, right? And if you are really leaning on their reactions as confirmation that you're on the right path, or as confirmation that you're doing well, then my friend, I hate to break it to you, you guys, but you are kind of setting yourself up for, I don't want to say failure, but if you are really looking to other people, I don't care what roles they have in your life, but if you are looking to other people for validation, for confirmation that you're doing good, you're doing great, or, confirmation that, stay on the path, that like sometimes it just doesn't happen. And now sometimes that doesn't happen, like I say, because other people, that is your goal, that is not theirs, right? So it's not up to them to see the big picture. It's not up to them to see how life-changing or groundbreaking or how great that accomplishment is. That's for you to see the value in it and stand in that, okay? To stand on it. And some of that, like I say, comes from us also building. I always say confidence is a muscle, and that we're always working toward that. Now, some of us are already psychologically strong, and then others, right? You could start off weak and become very strong. You could become kind of like, I think of almost like The Godfather, right? The movie, how Michael, right? The youngest brother started off real kind of like, he was the one no one really saw coming. And then when he turned into the Godfather, he was more fierce than any of them, okay? And that can also be like a confidence muscle, right? Like maybe first you might start off as someone who doesn't have a whole lot of confidence. You need that validation. You need other people to cheer you on. And then you might become a psychological, just like beast where you are untouchable, okay? Which is what we all kind of hope to accomplish, right? To get to that point where you're in the I know phase, right? Not the I hope, you are in the I know I am phase, okay? Which we're working toward, and it's a journey, and that's what we're here for, to ultimately support each other. But I just don't want you guys to stop, right? Or slow down. And this is, like I say, this hits a few different topics. This is also why they say don't talk a lot. And this kind of goes off into like, like some of the occult beliefs and things like that. But it's also why you don't talk a whole lot about your goals. You just do. And eventually what you do will be seen. But don't, and it's because you don't want too many, like when you create this, when you have this epiphany, right? Which I always consider personally, I consider the epiphany to be God-given. I consider that epiphany, that spark, that brilliance that you suddenly have of like, I could do this, or I should be doing this. That just wasn't by chance, okay? That was not by chance at all. That was not by chance at all. That was a God-given spark. The Creator put that into your mind, and it would not have been implanted in your mind to do X, Y, Z if it wasn't doable. It wasn't something that is known that you could actually pull off, okay? But anyway, I digress. But when you have that epiphany, right, and you're like, oh, I should do this, you automatically have that little momentum. You have that momentum of what it is that you want to do, and then you start from there. Your wheels start turning, and you start thinking of different ways to actually get that accomplished, right? But when you're telling too many other people, right? And sometimes it's not even on purpose. Like I say, sometimes people are just not as energetically excited, or they can't see the big picture. But when they start throwing those seeds of doubt, or their reactions are kind of like, oh, or oh, okay. And you could just read right through it that they're not really excited, or they really don't believe in you. That can slow you down. Because then you start doubting yourself. And if you don't doubt yourself, it still subconsciously has its role where it just kind of, it makes you question, or just maybe feel like, well, maybe it wasn't really that big of a deal. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't that unique of an idea, or, whatever. It can deflate. And it's other people's energy, their projections. Some people call it evil eye. Some people, whatever. It comes in many different forms. And sometimes it's, like I say, not that intentional. It's just straight up. Somebody just doesn't see it. And then There's the flip side of it, you guys. There's the flip side of it where sometimes it is intentional. Sometimes other people do see just how great a goal is that you have, and they can see maybe even better that you can, that you're more than capable of pulling it off. And because it's something that they feel like either they can't do, or it might pull you out of the level, the frequency of where they're at, where you really get catapulted into a whole nother level, they don't want to see that happen. So they might throw a little dirt on it, like, well, I think so-and-so did it, and it's purposely done, right? It's purposely done. And some of us are gifted to be able to see right through stuff, right? See right through people's body language, see and know, like, so-and-so is just really a hater, or so-and-so is really whatever, or so-and-so just, they're worried about XYZ. But some of us, like I say, we tell loved ones, we tell friends, we tell family, we tell people we're close to with hopes, right? Boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, we tell them our goals because we want that. Energy is real, right? Energy is extremely real, and we want them to share in that excitement and give it back to us, right? We want to throw it out and get it back. And if you throw it out, it might be received, but thrown back to you, and you threw it out a 10, but it came back a 2. And then you're like, huh? Wait, what? Huh? And we don't want that, you guys. So along the path, you guys have to really start to become experts in validating yourself, validating your own goals, whether you have to write it down, journal it, okay, whatever your goals are, or actually really map it out like we do with any kind of business plan. Realistically, this is what I want to do. What are my micro goalposts? What are my major goalposts along the way that I'm going to need to ding, 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 hit, just like a video game. Okay, just like a video game. Okay, next level unlocked. What do I have to do to unlock the next level? Because I know I can see it. I know it's there. I know that I'm more than capable. I got everything I need to actually get to it. But how do I get from point A to point B? Okay, how do I unlock the next level? And keep that. Be your own. Like I say, my channel, the content that I create is really for us to be like our own community of support, right? Because you're not alone. And a lot of us, like I say, we think that our stories are so unique, and not saying that we don't, but I bet you there's probably more than, I don't care how unique your story is, there's probably more than at least a dozen people on this planet that have experienced maybe almost, if not almost the same story, but like very similar, right? And that's a good thing, right? Because that lets you know that you're not alone, right? We come here, but we're not alone. Our struggles, many of our struggles can be very similar, even if it may look different from the outside. A lot of what we deal with, right, is very similar. So we can kind of, lean into each other for support, okay, at least on this channel. But anyway, anywho, like I say, write it down. Write it out, even if you need to, like a business plan, okay? This is what I need to do. This is what I want to do. These are the micro, these are the macro goalposts, and really like lean into more so into that. And then create little ways that you celebrate yourself, that you celebrate your own goals, okay? Whether it is you take yourself out to dinner or to lunch, or check out a movie that you had been planning to see, or buy yourself a new jacket, or whatever that is. Find little small ways to celebrate yourself, celebrate your accomplishments, celebrate your goals, and do not look to other people people to be just as excited. And matter of fact, now, if we want to really talk about like manifestation on more of like an occult level, there is power in your silence, okay? Because energetically, you don't want other people's projections, right? To interfere with what it is that you have in play, what it is that you've already set in place with the universe, okay? Some people, like I say, it could be for different reasons. Sometimes it could be unintentional. Sometimes it could be very intentional, but you don't want any of that negative energy to influence you psychologically or interfere with the frequency that you've already set in motion with the universe, okay? So therefore, what you do should be, you should, basically move in silence. And when once it's done, it is done, then talk about it. Be more of a let your actions speak louder than words. And then, like that's why I even talked about this kind of, kind of goes over into another video where I talked about like with your like glow up, that you don't really want to make your glow up about other people's reactions, right? Because if you are looking for other people to validate those like level ups, right? And if that's like solely, which some people like, let's just say, where we, maybe have been hurt in a relationship or whatever, or whatever, fired from a job or hurt in a relationship or kicked out of a friend group or whatever that could be. Sometimes people want to like level up and glow up just so that the other people can, people that they were once rejected by can eat their hearts out, type of deal. And to me, that's just not a sustainable motivator, okay? Because A, sometimes you just may not get the reaction that you want. And then B, okay, once people like say, yay, woo, then okay, now they're back to their lives. Okay, so if their whole thing was like for something that you're going to get a 10-minute reaction from, right? You want to definitely have, a solid foundation as to your why. This is why I'm doing this. This is why. And really stand on it and know that whatever that spark was that you had was definitely God-given. And it wouldn't have been given to you if you did not have the ability to carry it out, to glow up, to level up, to, reach your higher, more elevated self, to start that business, to lose that weight, whatever, start that creative project, or, write those lyrics, whatever your creative spark is, whatever that is, keep it to yourself, work on it, and eventually it will be seen. And you might not even be ready for it to be seen. You might want to continue because you see how powerful it is to kind of move in silence, work in silence. You might not even want it to be seen. But when it's time, and those improvements, those changes, those level ups will be seen. It will be noted. Okay, so you don't even have to like make that your goal. Okay, you should have a much larger goal than just reactions from other people. Okay, because people are people. 1 minute hate you, next minute they love you, they're back to hating you, now they love you more than ever. Okay, it's just what it is. Or 1 minute they're inspired, next minute, oh my, wow, so it's just like whatever, you guys. But I just want you guys to remember along the path to continue to validate yourself, to celebrate yourself. Don't look for the reactions and the thumbs up and the likes from other people to remind you or to confirm for you that you're on the right path or that you're making progress. Okay. But I love you guys so much. I'm not going to go on too long on this topic, but I hope you guys get the point. I'm very, very proud of you guys. I don't, know you guys individually, but I know that if you are following this type of content, that means that you are serious about making some changes, or at least you're in the right direction of making changes, elevating, leveling up, being the best version of yourself. Okay, that 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, whatever that version is of yourself, that you are capable, more than capable of achieving. And again, leave lots of comments down below, you guys. A comment that you leave might actually, like I say, be supportive, be exactly what someone needs to hear at the right moment, at the right time, divine timing, and it may inspire them in a very positive way. So leave lots of comments. I love you guys so much. I will see you on the next video. Bye.